Chapter 7. The People of the Pierced Noses. During the 19th century, the West of the traditional Indians, the Mountain Men, and the Buffalo reached its end. A new and different West came into being, a land of farmers, ranchers, miners, city dwellers, and Indians who had to adapt their ways to new realities. But before the change was completed, before the final act in the drama, a great leader attempted to save his people. His name was Chief Joseph, of the people called the Nez Perce. The Nez Perce Indians were special. Everyone agreed about that. They were honest and honorable, free-spirited and courageous, intelligent and independent, handsome and well-built, and, as if all that weren't enough, they lived in a region that was a kind of paradise. Their land, where today Idaho, Washington, and Oregon come together, holds lush valleys, grassy prairies, steep mountains, and canyons that seem to have been cut by a giant steam shovel. The Nez Perce share that land with elk, deer, antelope, rabbits, fowl, and mountain goats, along with some predator enemies, bears, wolves, foxes, and coyotes. Fish, especially the lordly salmon, splashed in their streams. The Nez Perce were mighty hunters, and known for their strong bows. Most were fashioned of cherry wood or yew, but the best of them were made of the horns of the mountain sheep, which were boiled and bent and backed with layers of sinew. Other tribes traded their most precious goods for those bows. When horses arrived in this northern region, the Nez Perce quickly became skilled riders, among the best in the land. Horses thrived on the high, abundant pasture land, and the Nez Perce learned to breed the animals for strength and beauty and fleetness. They lived in a kind of democracy where individuals were respected, but their society wasn't perfect. The Nez Perce had enemies, and, although they loved peace, they fought frequently and captured slaves, who then worked for them and had no say in their village affairs. In late September of 1805, the explorers Lewis and Clark, who had been caught in a snowstorm and were near starving, stumbled in a Nez Perce camp. The Indians fed them and probably saved their lives. The Nez Perce helped trappers and traders, and befriended those who were beginning to pass through their territory. Then gold was found in their land in 1860. Miners rushed in and settlers followed. It was the beginning of troubles. Some Nez Perce signed treaties to give up some of their land, but others wouldn't sign any treaties. President Grant tried to set aside a section of land as a reservation for the roaming Nez Perce Indians. Settlers were not allowed on that land, but that didn't stop the miners and homesteaders. They defied the president. They moved onto the land. One of the no-treaty tribes was led by a man most Americans called Chief Joseph. His real name was Hin-ma-tu-ya-la-kek, which means thunder rolling in the mountains. Joseph told his people to be patient. He didn't want to fight with the white settlers. In 1876, the U.S. government sent 3 commissioners to meet with Chief Joseph. They wanted to persuade him to move from his land to another reservation. Joseph was 36 years old. No matter how the government commissioners pleaded, Joseph would not agree to move. "We love the land," he said. "It is our home." But the Nez Perce had no choice. The newcomers had great power. The Indians were to be forced onto a reservation. The commissioners had no patience. The Indians must go, and quickly, they said. Even though the weather was bad, one frustrated, angry young Indian, whose father had been murdered by white settlers, killed some of the white men. Now the whites had a reason to call the Indians savages. Now they could attack. When they were attacked, the Nez Perce fought. The first battle began when Indians, carrying a white flag of truce, approached the soldiers. A shot rang out, and the Indians returned the fire. The fight, which was unexpected, was brief. 34 troopers died, and no Indians. The fleeing soldiers dropped their weapons, 63 rifles and many pistols. It was a bonanza for the Indians, but they were few in number, and they knew that an alarm would go out. Other soldiers would soon be after them. So they raced for the place where they thought they would be free. They raced for Canada. It turned out to be a 1,000-mile journey. First one army, then another, and another followed and fought them. Now Joseph proved to be as strong as thunder. He led a small band brilliantly, although most were children and old people. They fought in their mountains. They fought in their valleys. They fought in their canyons. They fought on their plateaus. Everywhere they were, outnumbered and outgunned. Over and over again they outwitted their pursuers. But they were fighting the telegraph as well as an army. Fresh troops were summoned by wire. Finally, just 30 miles from Canada, facing new soldiers, the Nez Perce were surrounded. Chief Joseph spoke. Here is what he said. "I am tired of fighting. Our chiefs are killed. The old men are dead. The little children are freezing to death. My people, some of them have run away to the hills, and have no blankets, no food. No one knows where they are. My heart sick and sad. From where the sun now stands, I will fight no more forever." That day, promises were made to Chief Joseph, but they were never kept. In Washington, the government people did not know the great chief and the brave Nez Perce. Those who wanted Indian land told false stories. The Nez Perce Indians were sent to an empty plain. Most sickened and died. Chief Joseph pleaded for justice. Here is some of what he said. All men were made by the same Great Spirit Chief. They are all brothers. The earth is the mother of all people, and all people should have equal rights upon it. You might as well expect the rivers to run backward as that any man who was born a free man should be, contented when penned up, and denied liberty to go where he pleases. Are you reading this quickly? Well, don't do that. These are great words. They are worth rereading. They are worth memorizing. We only ask an even chance to live as other men live. We ask to be recognized as men. We ask that the same law shall work alike on all men. If the Indian breaks the law, perish him by the law. If the white man breaks the law, punish him also. Let me be a free man, free to travel, free to stop, free to work, free to trade where I choose, free to choose my own teachers, free to follow the religion of my fathers, free to think and talk and act for myself, and I will obey every law or submit to the penalty. Whenever the white man treats the Indian as they treat each other, then we will have no more wars. We shall all be alike, brother of one father and one mother, the one sky above us and one country around us and one government for all. The time would come, as Chief Joseph wished, when there was one government and equal rights for all men and women of every color and background. Chief Joseph's words would help bring that time, but it would be too late for most of the Nez Perce. When Chief Joseph died on September 21st, 1904, the doctor at the Colville Indian Reservation in Washington State listed the cause of death as a broken heart.